Hey, my Willow Vibes tribe members. I am Jessica from Willow Vibes Intuitive Vibes, and this is going to be another story time. I did the Overt Narcissist story about MV yesterday, and this one is the Covert Narcissist story time story about RM, which was MV's friend, because that's how we met. This is probably, I don't know, like, I'm prompted to put it on YouTube, but part of me feels like because I know he watches all my readings, maybe this one shouldn't be on YouTube. I just heard, yes it should. I don't know. It's the truth, so it is what it is. And it's my recollection of the events. And, you know, hindsight's always 20/20. I saw, you know, certain issues while we were together, but they didn't seem like severely problematic while I was immersed in it. Because he was like the lesser of all evils, I guess you could say, because in comparison to the overt narcissist that I had dealt with prior, he was very docile, he was very affectionate, so it was, I guess, that the love bombing, the clinginess of it all, because he just totally showered me in love. That masked a bigger problem, I guess you could say. But it's weird because these just popped out of the Rebel deck, the couples edition. And thinking of this, I got forgive, not for them, do that shit for you. So even though I'm just explaining, you know, it's a story, it's what happened to me while I was with him, and, you know, the shit that I went through, and, you know, what he put me through and what others put me through, so that you can, I only say this stuff so that you can compare it to your own situation in your own life, and, you know, recognize the red flags, because red flags are not always textbook, and sometimes it's really hard to pinpoint, you know, what's problematic or unhealthy and toxic versus, you know, just a minor issue in a relationship. Or what's the difference between love bombing and someone who's being genuine, who really loves you and is just showing you signs of affection. Love bombing is extreme. It's like over the top. And there are some people who do show their affection in an extreme way or in extreme ways, but it's not as common, and there is a difference. But forgive, not for them, do that shit for you. So, you know, forgive people who have harmed you, hurt you, put you in bad situations or predicaments, because it's, I mean, it's all a learning experience if you really think about it. So just chalk it up to lesson learned, hopefully. You know, thank you for your time, or, you know, whatever. I forgive you because I need to move on, kind of thing. And then love can hurt like hell. Breathe through that shit. Just, I feel like this was a very painful experience. Like, some of you have experienced relationships with covert narcissists, whether it's romantically speaking, with friends or family members. That was a loud fucking massive cough. And it's funny because the next thing is watch what you say. So it's almost like somebody doesn't want me to say it, but, you know, I feel like dealing with, whether you're dealing with a narcissist or just in an unhealthy relationship, or just, you know, a past relationship that didn't work out, you know, breathe through the pain. I feel like a lot of you have recovered from abusive partnerships. Some of you are in recovery mode, but I kind of feel like there's an attachment issue. Hell, RM, there could be an attachment issue with him, and that's why this is coming up, you know, for me. But I feel like there's a lot of times in toxic relationships, the victim doesn't get closure, because a narcissist, why the hell would they provide it if it doesn't benefit them? I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of pain tied to this situation, and I know that there's pain tied to the situation between me and this ex, because he had a very misconstrued, convoluted sense of love, like the concept of love, and he kept telling me that he loved me still on Valentine's Day, and then he'd make fun of me and call me names and be an asshole. So I don't really know what to believe there, but that's kind of how love bombing is. It's very underhanded, but I feel like, you know, hurt people hurt other people, and that's what this is. He didn't have the easiest life, just gonna say, but that's still no excuse to treat someone like shit. And in all honesty, I think some of the things that he did that hurt me weren't intentional, but there were a lot of things that were. I don't know. And then watch what you say. That mouth of yours could start some shit. I am not doing these, I was going to say these readings. I'm not doing these story times to create hate and discontent or drama. I do not want anyone to approach any of my exes, which I'm pretty sure you're not going to know who they are anyways. But, you know, I wish everyone the best, whether they wish me, the worst or not. You know, it's my past. I've learned from it. And I'm sharing these experiences so that you can learn from my mistakes, or just the experiences that I went through, so that if you are in a similar situation or have been, it can either open your eyes to a past experience or help you get through a current one and warn you for the future so you don't get wrapped up in this bullshit, you know, again, or period at all. I feel all like loopy, like I kind of want to just, I don't know if I really want to fall asleep. It's almost like that pass out energy, and I've been getting that a lot lately. My head's starting to tingle now. So maybe the stalker shit that I've been picking up on, it could be pertaining to RM, because, you know, he has a track record with stalking, and he did tell me that he watches all my shit. But let's start from the beginning-ish. So basically, I was dating his quote-unquote best friend, MV, at the time, the overt narcissist that I just did a story time about. And, you know, they were using each other. I feel like neither one of them really liked each other. It was just more of like, you're here to pass the time, you know, and RM would do so much for MV. And then once I was in the picture, I knew right from the start that RM liked me. I could just tell by the look on his face. There was an instant connection, but, you know, I was dating his friend and he had a girlfriend at the time, so, you know, nothing ever happened. We would talk and stuff whenever, even when my boyfriend was around. I mean, I think we watched Game of Thrones and all that shit. We'd have like Game of Thrones night and he would come over and we would just all watch the show. We just do shit like that, or go out, you know, to a restaurant or pub or bar or something, whether RM was dating somebody or if he was single, because he had like an on and off thing going on with someone at the time. But he was very sneaky with how he would communicate with me. He would text me, and we could just carry on an intellectual conversation, because he used to tell me that I was the most intelligent woman that he had ever met, because he can't carry on these conversations with anyone else but me. Like, I don't know, I stood out to him, especially because of my brain, my head, my wisdom. And he's extremely intelligent too. And he's so book smart that he kind of lacks street smarts. Like, common sense is a little bit out the window. Like, for crying out loud, this one time, he got a flat tire and I had to help him change a tire because he put it on backwards. I'm like, nope, that's not how that goes. We had a little bit of an argument over it, but I was right, needless to say, because I know how to change a tire. But it was just little things like that. He definitely is more, I don't even want to say nerdy. He's a hands-off type person. And his brother is more hands-on, like mechanically inclined. And RM he's just not that way, you know. His strengths are definitely in other areas. Like, he's management material and a businessman, you know what I mean? That's just his personality and how he rolls. And there's nothing wrong with that at all, because, you know, you have your manly men who aren't afraid to get dirty and mechanically inclined, they're hands-on, and then you have, you know, your businessmen. You got Trump and stuff like that, you know, who could rule the world someday. And I'm pretty sure RM, I know that he has a lot of successful changes going on in his life. That's what he was explaining to me. And he has the potential to, you know, make some big bucks down the line. I do see that for him, so, you know, that's great. But it was weird because out of all the relationships, like my exes and stuff, I held him in high regard. Like, I was like, he was always the nicest ex, and there were times where I was like, you know, maybe I made a mistake, and maybe we should give it another try if he wanted to or whatever. He wouldn't accept my apology when I apologized for moving on to somebody else, because I ended up marrying my second husband after Ryan and I, like, he was the next person I was with. I fucking said his name. What is wrong with me? Anyways, after we ended things, and that really hurt him, and so I was apologizing for it, basically. I mean, I didn't cheat, it wasn't anything like that, we were already broken up. But, so, like I said, but he ignored me, and he didn't accept the apology, he never answered, he was really pissy pants about it, I'm just gonna say. So I was figuring he was just hurt, and, you know, I said what I need to say. I, you know, apologized and, you know, forgave him for any of his past indiscretions, and was just gonna move on with my life, basically. I did not expect to hear from him on Valentine's Day, and then what came out of his mouth I definitely wasn't expecting, but it made me realize that I wasn't in the wrong, and that he's not somebody I want to be with at all. Like, I don't even know why that was just a fleeting thought, you know, and I don't even know why it floated in at all. So it basically, I'm glad that he reached out, because it put things into perspective, and just the disconnect allowed me to fully see the problems that were there, that I just kind of pushed under the rug or whatever. But anyways, so I did mention that I had gotten accused a bunch of times, and so did he, from, you know, my ex, MV, of, like, that me and RM were, you know, sleeping together, that I was cheating on my boyfriend at the time with him, and I wasn't, and I got smacked for it, and I got berated for it, and it was like a constant problem in my relationship with MB. He was constantly flipping out, and, like, he didn't trust me, and I never gave him a reason not to trust me. But basically, when you're getting punished time and time and time again, excuse me, for something you didn't do, you might as well do it to make it worthwhile. And so this was at the very end of our relationship, and, you know, we had a moment of weakness, because it's like, if he finds out, whatever, he's already hit me for it countless times, so I don't really care anymore. So I got to the point of not really giving a shit because of the circumstances. And I know that that's not the best way to handle situations, because, like I've said before, I'm not a saint, and I have made some crap choices in my life too. You know, nobody's perfect. I'm not a narcissist, and I try my best to be as kind as possible to people, but I will defend myself and stand up for myself, and I was just at that fed up moment when that happened. But when it came to me moving on with my second ex-husband, we'll call him Jay, I wasn't with RM at all anymore. We had already broken up, so I didn't cheat when it came to that. But he stayed in my life. We were quote-unquote friends, or trying to stay friends, but it was really hard for him, because he always wanted it to be more, and that's just not what it was. But anyways, so the first time we slept together, because we slept together before we started dating, because of the whole "you're cheating on me" bullshit, I had spent the entire day with him. We were at a pub, and we had been drinking since like 11:30 in the morning, and I didn't end up getting home until like 3 a.m. the next day. So, you know, I had been drinking and just having a good time with him and some other people. There were people we didn't even know. We were just interacting with everyone, having a good old time, dancing and whatever. That was the night that happened, because we went from one pub to another, and later in the afternoon, and once, I think it was like, once we shut the bar down, basically. So once it was last call, we went outside, and we were sitting in, I think we were sitting in his car. And I remember MV had called RM a couple times because he wanted to hang out with him. So of course he lied and said that he was busy, you know, doing something else. But I was I was there with him, and I mean, I feel bad looking back saying that. It doesn't paint a very good picture of me, but like I said, I had already got blamed for it a million times. Doesn't make it right. It's just an excuse, but it is what it is. It happened. I guess that's a sense of karma if you think about it. But anyways, we were in his car, and one thing led to another, and we ended up, you know, having sex. But we look up, and we had an audience. There were people watching us, and I was like, oh my gosh. So he jumps into the driver's seat, and I'm still like not really dressed, and we left and drove to a different parking lot. I actually think it was the Walmart parking lot. No, it was a mall parking lot, and they were closed, but I guess we, you know, whatever. We finished our business in a parking lot, in a different one. Went from one parking lot to another, but we left the audience behind. Like, this is, you know, show's over, people. But that was so embarrassing. I'm like, go figure. The one time I do something I shouldn't be friggin' doing, there's like a whole audience. Like, there's a shit ton of witnesses, and I mean, it was like, it was a funny moment to look back on, and we did laugh about it quite a few times actually, but whatever. I don't know, it was a very fun and free connection, especially in the beginning. It was extremely different than any other connection I had been in. And he was really nice. He was really good to me. He was very sweet, and I wasn't used to the romantic side of a connection, because everyone I've been with, they weren't romantic. There were romantic moments, but they were far and few between, and it was usually after I said something or hinted that I want this kind of thing. I never had to really hint with RM. He's just, he went above and beyond without me even saying anything. And I do have something that he wrote that I'm going to read, and this kind of gives me the creeps now because it seems very over the top, and it's creepy now. I don't know, back then it kind of seemed endearing and sweet, but now it seems like obsessive. Do you know what I mean? And I do believe this was written while we were broken up, one of the times we were broken up. So it was kind of like trying to get me back. Like, let's get back together type thing. It's written out like commandments, or, yeah, I don't know. It's written out almost like an official document with amendments, you know, I don't know. But anyways, it's kind of weird. So yeah, that happened, and I ended up hitting a roadblock on the way home that night at like I think it was like 2:30 in the morning. And of course they let the cars in front of me go, and then they call me in to check, you know, sobriety check. And I don't even know how I got through it, how I passed, because like I said, I had been drinking all day. I mean, I wasn't smammered because I had, even though I had been drinking throughout the day and whatever, I did eat, and, you know, some time had passed, and I was drinking water at the end of the night and whatever. So maybe that was my saving grace, but I was shitting bricks. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm totally getting arrested. I'm going to get a DUI tonight. I didn't. Hallelujah. So I ended up getting through that after having a panic attack, you know, thinking that, oh, this is, you know, I do one thing, I fuck up one time, and this happens, but luck was on my side, thank goodness. But yeah, when I got back, MV was kind of a dick. He was not happy that I was out so late, and he did wait up for me. But yeah, and then when I broke up with him, you know, we made the papers because he beat me on the side of the road. It was not pleasant. I'll get into that another time, but it was shortly after that, like when I said that when all this happened, it was at the end of our relationship. It really was, because I believe it was only a few days later when I finally got up the courage to break up with MV, because I was scared to, because it never worked in the past. He always cried his way back in, or he'd get really mean or mad, and I'm like, okay, well, he's not drunk. There's no alcohol in the house, which I didn't think there was, but there was, because my grandfather had dropped off a big box of different liquors and wines and whatever for my mom. And my mom didn't want it, so I was like, well, we gotta hide this shit. Well, I hid it somewhere in the garage, and MV found it. But I didn't know that, and I was like, oh, there's no alcohol in the house. I had forgotten about that. And I'm like, now's the perfect time, because he'll handle it better when he's sober. So I was still nervous, and I have this weird nervous tick. When I was in it, I've had it since I was a kid. So whenever my dad would like yell at us or punish me or whatever, I would giggle or smirk, because it's like nervous laughter. Well, that kind of happened when I was breaking up with MV, and of course he's like, "You're laughing at me? You think this is fucking funny? You're a cold-hearted bitch." And like, it didn't go over very well, but I was like, no, I don't think this is funny. I'm actually terrified right now, which is why I'm giggling. I'm even laughing, because it wasn't like, you know, ha ha ha. It was just kind of a like nervous laughter, so it wasn't like a belly laugh or anything. But yeah, he thought I was making fun of him and that I thought it was funny. But I ended up messaging RM, and I'm like, I did it, I'm free, you know, now we can move forward, kind of thing. And he was all happy about that. So he was convincing me to leave MV, which, you know, I should have left him anyways, because that just was a very unhealthy relationship. So no matter if I had somebody to move on to or not, that needed to end. So it was kind of like a blessing in disguise, that RM was pushing me to do that. Like he basically coached me through it. So that was kind of a good thing, but ulterior motives, you know, because he wanted me. But yeah, and I had even asked him, because once MV stormed out, he ended up drinking. He found the liquor, and then all hell broke loose. And I asked RM if he could bring him home, because I already packed his stuff up in trash bags. And I asked my mom's boyfriend, or now ex-boyfriend, who was an ex-Army Ranger, who's like 6'7", so he's a big dude. I asked him if he could give him a ride home. I asked everybody. I mean, I didn't ask my mom, because I'm not going to put my mom in harm's way. But he wouldn't have acted that way to any of them. You know, I knew he would take it out on me. Nobody would help me, not even my future boyfriend. So I ended up having to do it, and that was bullshit. It was horrible. But after that whole ordeal, I ended up going to where RM worked, and I saw him on, I think it was like his lunch break or dinner break or something, and I had bruises on me from, you know, what had happened prior. But it was weird, because RM said that he wanted to like start off slow, but that's not what happened. It was really quick. And like with love bombing, like I said prior, it's hard to tell what's the difference between someone, you know, showing you affection and being romantic versus love bombing. Love bombing is just constant, and it's fucking tiring. It's exhausting. It's just going over the top with love. Because I would get cards all the time, which were sweet, but it's funny, in the cards, his cards would always say stuff like, "You're mine," which, you know, we've already went over that. And MV would say that to me all the time. Actually, my second ex-husband would say it to me too. Actually, and a lot of these people would say that stuff to me. It's very possessive. But he would also say things like, "You'll never get rid of me. I'll always be here." You know, shit like that. So it's almost like secret messages within this sweet card letting me know that I'm not going to be able to shake him that easy, that he's stuck to me like glue. I didn't look at it that way back then, but rereading through it now, it's like, good one, Jess, you know? You know how to pick them. But I'd get cards all the time. He'd either leave them in my car or whatever. Flowers. He actually gave me more flowers than any other man I've ever been with. And it was really sweet. Like, I don't consider the flowers and cards being love bombing, but it's just the sheer number of them, and the fact that he would always send them. He would send them randomly anyways, but he would do it too as a, oh, I'm sorry I fucked up. There was a lot of I'm sorry letters, I'm sorry cards, I'm sorry flowers. So that's kind of another red flag warning, whether you're dealing with a covert narcissist or an overt narcissist, or just anyone who's not healthy, because a lot of the affection that they show is to like make up to you, to kiss your ass, for them hurting you or being a jackass, you know. So I got a lot of I'm sorry flowers and cards and notes, and he had these stupid pet names for me. Like, oh, my Jessie Pie, my Cutie Pie. Oh, I don't even fucking know. But there were so many, and he would say it in a baby voice. So, and I would get so annoyed, even at first, from the very beginning. I'm like, first of all, nobody calls me Jessie. I hate that nickname. And even though he knew I hated it, he would always say it. So it was just kind of like a little jab. But, you know, you can't get mad at me because I'm being all sweet and calling you my cutie pie, you know, my little honey pie. I don't know. He'd say shit like that in that voice. And I would get mad. It's like, okay, enough is enough. Like, I know you're not being mean, but cut it out, because you kind of are. I told you I hate that nickname. You keep calling me that. Don't talk to me like I'm fucking 5 years old. I'm a grown-ass woman. Like, that's how I talk to babies and puppies. No. But he would do it all the time, even though he knew I hated it. And, of course, that's another, like, covert narcissistic thing, that these narcissists do, that these people do. It's, they know what gets you going, they know what pisses you off, but they do it in an endearing way, in a nice way. So if you get mad at them for it, it makes you look mean and crazy. It makes you look like the bad person, the unhealthy one, because people will look at you going, why are you flipping out over that? You know, you could have just said, please stop. But what people don't realize is you've told this person time and time and time and time again not to call you those pet names, not to say this, not to do whatever the fuck they're doing. And they didn't listen. They're doing it on purpose to, like, get under your skin. But the outsiders don't see it that way. So you look like an asshole when you tell them to shut the fuck up. So that's another little trait or trick that they do. He had very smothering actions. Like, I like to cuddle. I'm very affectionate. I like to hug and kiss and all of that stuff. You know, I have these fantasies or images in my head, you know, where, like in the movies, where you're cooking and your lover comes up behind you and just wraps his arms around you, and it's very sweet, and kisses your neck. Like, I love shit like that. He wouldn't do it exactly like that. It was more of, I'm gonna hug you and I ain't gonna fucking let go. So if he came up behind me when I was cooking, it was always at the worst times too. It's like time and place, you know, read the room. If I'm like in a rush cooking, chopping up stuff, and you know, I've got like 4 things going at once, that's not really the opportune time to sneak up behind me and hug me, because I'm probably going to get irritated because I have a lot going on. I'm already overwhelmed, so let's not add to it. Well, he would always add to it, and then I would look like the bitch because I would get mad, or I'd be like, no, just leave me alone. Oh, I just want to help. I just want to hug you. It's like, time and place, time and place. But he would do that all the time, and then of course turn around and be my fucking fault because I got irritated that I didn't want somebody stuck to me like fucking Velcro, like a toddler clung to my damn leg. Like, that's how it was when I say smothering. Hell, even sleeping, he would like wrap his arms and legs around me like a fucking pretzel, and we'd be stuck together. And I'm sorry, he sweats at night, and it just was very uncomfortable. And I can cuddle before I fall asleep, but then I'll roll over and I need my space to fully fall asleep. He didn't like to give space, I'm just going to say. So it was just like, and I didn't like it. But that's another thing that they do. And of course, it makes you look like an asshole when you get mad about it. I'm sure this has happened to some of you. I already said the I'm sorry gifts, because he was always doing little things to make up for bad behavior. Like, I think one of these, it was actually one of the first things I pulled out. Jess, I love you so much. Sorry for my mood last night. And I think he had been drinking, because he drank a lot. And he was being mouthy. And we got into an argument because he would run his mouth when he drank. And I think that was one... I think that's something that happened. It was minor. Like, he never hit me or anything. But I could tell he wanted to. Like, you can see the look in someone's eyes when they want to smack you, but they don't. Well, he never did. He never physically hurt me. It was all, this is what covert narcissists do. It's all under the radar. And it's a mind fuck. It really is. Because you really don't see it, and you feel crazy dealing with these people. But he said, sorry for my mood last night. I'll be thinking of you all day at work. Thank you so much for lunch and for being you. You're the best darling girl. Oh, there's another pet name. That one's not so bad. You know, love RM. But I would get notes like that all the time, because it's almost like, it's okay that I treated you like shit, or, you know, said really mean things, or did this or did that, because I can just send you a note or a card tomorrow and apologize, or get you flowers and let's kiss and make up. And that's always how it was. And of course, when you're still mad and you're getting these gifts, it makes you feel like a bitch for not wanting to accept them, or for being mad. And they do that on purpose. That's how they flip the script around all the time. And he would do that constantly. I hope now you're getting a better understanding of why covert narcissists are worse than overt narcissists, because they just twist everything around, and it does make you feel crazy a lot of the times. And it makes other people view you as the nutbag, when that's not the case. You're fed up and have had enough, but nobody sees what they're doing, because it's all behind the scenes. It's all at home. It's all when no one's around. And they do it in these weird ways where they can get away with it, you know? Like the pet name thing I was talking about. It's just annoying. But anyways, he would do gaslighting all the time. That was a reminder when he called me on Valentine's Day, because he would always deny doing or saying something. So if he screwed up, it was like, I can't remember if I said this or not, but it's like, dude, do you have dementia or Alzheimer's or something? Because the amount of times that he would do something and say something and then act as though it didn't happen, and that I was crazy, like, oh, you must be thinking of somebody else or whatever. It makes you, I don't even remember how I was going to say that, where I was going with it, but it just makes you feel crazy. And he did it a lot, but it made me wonder, like, do you really have a mental disorder where you, like, your memory's fucked up? Because he did it so much. And I didn't remember all of it until that phone call, and I was like, wow, it's all coming back to me now. Because that's what he would do. He would, like, especially when he was intoxicated, he would just, they were little jabs too. It's not like during the phone call, that was like, he was being pretty bold, like, you know, calling me a dumb bitch and all that shit, and a fuck face and whatever. And at first I thought he was being sarcastic, but either way, it's mean. But when we were together, he wouldn't flat out say that stuff to me. It wasn't like a direct insult. They were little jabs, like shit that would get under your skin. I can't even give an example, but I guess if you didn't know what was going on, some of the stuff he would say, it wouldn't seem like an insult, but it was, he would just say things that he knew bothered me. It was being very underhanded, ultimately, and then he would deny doing it. And I remember this one time, he drank almost an entire bottle of Jack Daniels, and we were arguing. Oh, you want to know what we were arguing about? Because I was getting fed the fuck up over this. Because when he would drink, he must have a small bladder or something, because he has to piss every 5 fucking seconds. And instead of going down the stairs to the bathroom or even outside, he would piss in bottles. And one time I almost drank it because I didn't know, because it wasn't on the floor. Thank God I didn't. I came fucking close, though, and that really pissed me off. And I can't remember if that's this night where I flipped out about it, because I did flip out about that. Like, that was a close fucking call, and I would have dumped it over his damn head if it happened. It's fucking gross. First of all, don't pee in bottles. Like, what the hell? Go outside. Do something. And he would. He'd just piss everywhere. He didn't care where he was, so it was kind of disgusting. But I would have piss bottles around my room or under, well, it was his desk, but in my room. And he moved in really quickly, which is another narcissistic thing. Narcissists love to do that because then they have all the control in the situation. They know where you are at all times, because they're there. But yeah, he moved in relatively quickly. But anyways, even though they were under his desk, we still had like paperwork and all. I had some of my shit over there too, and it drove me crazy. So I think that's what we were fighting about. And he was just, doing those little digs and jabs, and I think he would bring up crap about MV and my past, and that's the stuff that he would do. Instead of calling me a bitch, he would like dredge shit up, like to remember the time, or I don't know. It's like he never forgot. He'd forget being an asshole, do the whole gaslighting thing, like, what are you talking about? I didn't do that. I didn't say that. But he would remember everything from the past. So I know it's not a memory issue. It's intentional. But yeah, he would just like throw shit in my face constantly. So if I screwed up 10 months ago, you bet your ass he would throw it in my face if he was mad, because it's like he has no leg to stand on, because he knows he's in the wrong for whatever we're arguing about, especially the piss bottle thing. And it's like, well, I have to be right. I have to win, so I'm going to start throwing a bunch of ancient crap at you. That's what they do too. Women are more known to do that than men, but, covert narcissists, men will do it too, and he did it all the time. He would dredge up shit that had nothing to do with him and I. It was just, to try to paint a shitty picture of me, like I'm this horrible fucking person. I don't pee in bottles. Anyways, we were like fucking fighting with each other, and I'd had enough, and I told him to get out. I said, get out, go home, do something, sleep in your car, I don't care, but just get the fuck away from me, basically. And he wouldn't, and I kept telling him to leave, and then he started crying. He would cry and then get mad. It was almost like, oh, please, and then, and it's like, okay, Jekyll and Hyde, what the fuck? But he'd pull that crap, and then I tried to get him out of my room, and he wouldn't. He kept hugging me and clinging to me like, just love me, please, I love you, don't kick me out, whatever. So I finally got him out of the room, because I was screaming at him. I'm like, I was trying to be nice at first, but I couldn't. Like, he really had me fired up, because it's like, if you would have just turned around and walked away, this wouldn't have escalated. But no, he has to make a mountain out of an anthill. A door just slammed. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I'm talking about a fight and doors are slamming. Because I did slam the door after I finally pushed him out of my room, because I was like, just get out. And he just kept like, no, baby, no. Well, my ex-husband, my kid's father, was staying here temporarily when my mom lived here at the time, because he had nowhere to go, and he was only here for like a week or so or something. It was just a very temporary thing, and he was on the couch. Well, he heard the whole thing, and he told me, he was laughing about it. He goes, all I was thinking is, like, that poor bastard, just fucking get out. Just listen. Like, you have no leg to stand on, because he heard the whole thing. He knew why I was mad. So he ended up leaving, and I think he did sleep in his car that night. I'm not really sure. But, and of course I got the I'm sorries and the letters and all that bullshit afterwards, to kiss and make up for it. But even though he would apologize and do the whole like makeup crap with cards and flowers and stuff, he would still deny it. It's like, I'm sorry for my behavior, but you know, I wouldn't have acted this way if you didn't do this or that. So it was a very convoluted apology. Like it was I don't know, it was weird, but that's what he would do all the time. He stole from me and then denied it. Like, he had taken money out of my piggy bank because he needed gas money or whatever, which I didn't know about that till later on. But he actually took money out of my wallet, and I was super pissed. I was seeing fucking red. I'm like, I have no use for thieves, for one, but if he would have asked me for that money, I would have probably given it to him. I just need to know where my money is, and I said this to him, because he goes, well, what's mine is yours, and yours is mine, you know, you could just go in my wallet and take my money, I wouldn't care, and blah, 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 because you're my girlfriend, and we share everything. And I was like, I understand that, but I have a rule. Nobody gets into my purse or my wallet without my fucking permission. That is the one thing in my house, no matter who I've been with, where I live, that is mine. It's all mine, nobody else's. I share everything else, you know? Not to mention, to put things into perspective, that was the only money I had in my wallet. That's all the money I had to my fucking name. So yeah, it really ticked me off. But I told him, I was like, what if I went to the store thinking I had $20 and I go pick up, you know, toilet paper, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm at the register and now I only have 10, or I have no money because I thought I had it, and it's, where the fuck is it? Because you didn't ask me, you know? Now I'm embarrassed, and now I can't get what I need because you decided to take matters in your own hands and take what was not yours. Oh, well, he still to this day does not think that it was theft because we were dating. That's theft. He stole that from me because I did not okay it. I was fucking livid. So I felt like I had to hide my money and my purse and all that shit from him, which you shouldn't feel that way with the person you're with, you know? But of course, I overreacted, and I guess I don't value our relationship as much as him, because he wouldn't be mad at me if I did that to him. I'm like, bull fucking shit. You would too be mad if I took your money out of your wallet. Really? It's just he didn't want to look bad, so he was trying to turn it around and make me out to be the crazy one. I'm overreacting. No, I was not. My eyes going a little blurry on this side. It's weird. Anyways, yeah, he'd always turn everything around, make it my fault. He wouldn't have done it. He wouldn't have done half the shit that he did if it wasn't for me, basically. You know, that's what most narcissists say, no matter what type of narcissist they are. And I don't know, it would just make me out to be the crazy one. I overreacted over everything, which was not the case. Because I can take a lot. You know, I'm a Scorpio and everything, and, you know, when you push us to our limits, we will fucking bite back. We'll sting you. But it takes a lot, and especially for me, you know, I can't speak for everyone, but for me personally, I'll take it, and I'll take it, and I'll take it, and I'll take it, and then, you know, finally I'll hit my breaking point, and then that's when I blow up, and it's like, okay, you know, enough's enough. I can't take your shit no more. But anyways, you know, and I remember, and I said this in the overt narcissist story with my ex MV, he had stood there before him and MV left the house. He had stood there and watched MV spit in my face and pushed me into the counter where I hit my head off the cupboard, and then denied seeing it. Like, I wasn't there. Yeah, you were standing right there on the other side of the kitchen table watching the whole thing. So, you know, that's a form of gaslighting too, because I had asked him why he didn't stand up for me, and he denied ever being there. It's like, you were standing right in front of me, but okay, whatever. And there was like a sense of grooming going on before we even started dating, because he was always my shoulder to cry on whenever MV was problematic. So that was his way of slowly getting into my good graces, because he's the quote-unquote better guy. That's kind of an underhanded thing to do to your friend, which is how I know that neither one of them were really friends with each other. They were both using each other. But that's how it started. It was a process. It was a slow process, but that's what he was doing. It's like, I will be there for you. I will support you. I'll be nice. I mean, for crying out loud, I think it was either Mother's Day or my birthday. I think it was Mother's Day, because I love the ocean. So does RM. And he bought my gift from MV. So MV gave me a gift, but it was actually from RM. Like, he picked out the card, he signed it. MV didn't do any of it, but he's the one that gave it to me. But behind the scenes, it was all RM. And yes, RM let me know that, instead of just, helping his friend out and pretending. I knew the handwriting anyways, but it was just little things like that were adding up. So it was almost like I was dating him secretly without even realizing it, because all the shit that MV was giving me was actually from RM. That's fucked up, I know. But anyways, that's like the grooming. So I kind of knew what to expect with him when we did date, because it almost felt like we were dating. Just like ghost dating. It was weird. And then towards the end of our relationship, because you can only feel crazy for so long and deal with verbal altercations and the hot and cold and up and down and, never knowing where you stand bullshit for so long. So as the relationship was deteriorating, coming to a close, we would break up, make up, break up, make up. It happened a few times. Well, one of the times it happened, every time it happened, he'd pull this shit, but it would progressively get worse, because he would always try to cry his way back in, which is why I took him back so many times. But what he would do, and like, it would start off with, he would call me and text me, and he would call me when he was drunk and he'd be crying, and I'd get sick of it and hang up. He'd drive by my house, like, to see if I was home, because I remember one of the times we broke up, this wasn't the first time, it might have been, this was the last time, because I had just met my second ex-husband, Jay, and his car was in my driveway because we were just hanging out. I think it was the first time he come over my house, and I mean, nothing happened. We were just hanging out, but RM had been stalking me, so he was driving by my house and he saw that there was a different car in my yard, and he messaged me about it, and he goes, who's over your house? I was like, that's none of your fucking business. And how do you know I have someone over my house? I just saw the vehicle. I'm like, why are you driving by my house? Because he didn't live in my area, so he'd have to go out of his way to drive by my house, which is how I knew it was intentional. But he made up some other excuse that he had to go somewhere in my area, which there's nothing in my area, so it's a lie. But anyways, yeah, he would drive by and see who was there and what was going on. But what he would do every single time we broke up is that, I mean, whether he told me or not, and I'm sure he's done it way more times than I'm even aware of, he just knew things that he shouldn't have known because he was stalking me. He would come over my house and park beside my garage, like pull up just enough so I couldn't see his vehicle out my window. So he was sitting in my yard and I wouldn't know it, crying in his car, drinking and crying in his car. And I remember coming out, and it freaked me out the first time he was there because I was like, why are you here, kind of thing. And he was bawling his eyes out, and he had grabbed me around my waist and, was kind of begging and pleading, like, how can you not love me anymore? How can you be so cruel and leave me? And, all that shit. So it was, I mean, at first I felt bad, because I'm like, man, he's really hurting. But he did it so many times that I didn't feel bad anymore. I was getting annoyed. I was getting frustrated. I'm like, what's done is done. Like, why would you even want to be with somebody who's so fucking cruel, apparently? Like, obviously we're not on the same page. And if he didn't sit in his car and cry or knock on the door and cry, he'd sit on my front steps and cry. Or one time I remember I went into the kitchen and I was rinsing off a plate or something in the sink, and I look out the back window and he's sitting at my fire pit by himself. I think he had a 6-pack of beer too. He just made himself at home. We weren't together. We had broken up. He was crying in my backyard. And I'm like, what the hell? So I went out there and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why are you sitting here crying? This time he had gotten fired from his job, and he was really upset about that because, oh, I lost my girlfriend, I lost my job. And I don't remember what the issue was, why it happened, but I told him, because I ended up sitting on the front steps with him trying to calm him down because, you know, shit was falling apart for him. And it was kind of like a guilt trip thing. Like, he would always rope me back in with this sad crap, with his tears. But anyways, I told him, I was like, everything's gonna be fine. You're not fired. Like, you'll get your job back. No, I won't. And he was fighting against everything I said. I'm like, I just have this feeling you will. And he did. I think it was the next day. I talked to him and he had told me that he got his job back, and I was like, see, I told you. And he was like, no, you didn't. Like, he did not want to give me even an ounce of credit for saying it or whatever. And I'm like, yes, I did. So I reminded him and he kept denying it. Like, no, you didn't. It was all me. It had nothing to do with you. And I was like, whatever. Believe what you want. I don't fucking care. So I was never good enough anyways. Like, he would say shit to me, like treat me as though I was perfect and say it to me, and then treat me like I was shit on his shoe and, you know, insignificant and I don't matter, all in the same damn sentence. Like, that's just how he was. But yeah, he came over multiple times crying like a blibbering fucking idiot. And like I said, I felt bad at first, but then I stopped feeling bad because it happened so frequently and it was getting a little over the top because he was very obsessive. And then the final time we broke up, my second ex-husband Jay had come over, and of course RM was stalking me and driving by my house. Well, it was late at night, and Jay he spent the night because we had had a few drinks. We went over to one of my friend's houses at the time, and, you know, we had a fire, and we were just hanging out. It was our first official outing together because at the time, I didn't want to date Jay. We were just kind of hanging out because he really liked me, but he was a lot younger than me, so I was like, I don't know. And I was dealing with the whole RM stuff, and we had just broken up, so it was very new. So we're just friendly, basically. But he was sleeping, he slept over that night, and I had body pillows all over my bed, and I put a body pillow between us, and like him and I, we didn't sleep together or anything. Like, we were literally going to sleep. He was too drunk to drive, and that's just how it was. And but who cares, because I was single anyway, so even if I did want to sleep with him, like, legit, I could have. That's just not what happened. But anyways, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I get woken up to the lights flicking on in my bedroom, and I'm like, what the hell? I look over, and RM, my ex, broke into my damn house, and woke me up, and started chewing me out, flipping out on me because I had a man in my room. I'm cheating on him. We'd been broken up for a few months. Yeah, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, right? So yeah, he broke into my house, flipped out on me. I jumped out of that bed so fucking quick, and I mean, I flipped out, and I'm like, you better get the fuck out of my house and get out of my fucking life. I'm gonna call the motherfucking cops on you. I mean, like, you have no right. What gives you the right to come into my house, you know, unwelcomed, uninvited? Like, what the fuck? And you have the audacity to chew me out and say I'm cheating on you? Like, I remember Jay's face. He was like, he looked shocked, like, you didn't tell me you had a boyfriend. And it's like, I don't. I have a psycho ex, apparently. But yeah, so I got him out of the house, and he begged me not to tell my mother. He was terrified of my mom for some reason, which is funny because my mom is like the sweetest woman ever. But he was terrified of her. I don't know why. She didn't really care for him anyways, because she always called him a weasel. He was very sneaky, and he is sneaky. He'd steal from me, and obviously he's a stalker. So she had her, she had legitimate reasons to not really like him. But he was like, don't tell your mom, don't tell your mom. Well, I told my mom, and I'm like, we gotta make sure the doors are locked, because apparently he thinks he can just come in and willy-nilly. That was embarrassing, terrifying, and very, very unexpected. Like, I knew he would show up and sit in my yard and cry. And when I say cry, I mean he would cry. It's not like, I'm not just saying like the boo-hoo-hoo shit, like ugly cry. But that's what happens when you drink a lot. And he was always drinking and driving. I'm surprised he didn't get a DUI or kill himself or somebody else and get into an accident, because he was blotto when he was driving. It was just not cool. Not cool at all. I don't know if he still pulls that stuff now. But, yeah, that was amazing. I mean, it's pretty much like all the encounters that we had that were negative like that, with the love bombing, gaslighting, blame shifting. You just deny everything. The stalking, just the craziness of it all. It's a bunch. It happened frequently. It happened a lot and at different times, but it was all the same crap. It was like he was stuck on repeat. He'd do the same shit just at different times in different ways. So, that's pretty much the story of us, at least pointing out the covert narcissistic traits anyways. But yeah, he is an obsessive stalker, and just the fact that he was pulling that crap when he called me on Valentine's Day, it does kind of freak me out, because what if, he's still driving by my house stalking me? What if he knows more than he should know? Because he was telling me that he still loved me. He kept saying, I really loved you, like past tense, like you were the love of my life back then. But he would say that, and then it would morph into, I love you. I still love you. I've always loved you. I can't stop loving you. And then he'd be like, fuck face, you fucking bitch. And so I can tell there's some resentment and anger in there still, but he still loves me apparently. I don't know. But yeah. So there's that. There's some signs. I don't know if anyone has ever done that to you, including the stalking, minus the stalking, who knows. I mean, I have a lot of good memories with him too. It wasn't all bad, because we used to go on adventures all the time and stuff, and we spent a lot of time at the ocean, which I love, going to the beach, to the ocean and whatever. I did a lot of outdoorsy stuff with Jay as well. But, so it's like, even in the worst relationships, there are really good times. And that's what I was remembering during the breakup, because even the underhanded crap, even the hurtful things he did that were disguised as being sweet, that's what I remembered, and I was thinking of it being sweet, like the notes and the cards and the flowers. Those are very beautiful gestures, but it was over the top and for the wrong reasons, which is what you need to be aware of and look out for. If your relationship is rushed, you guys move in with each other really quickly, you make each other official really, really quickly, like especially if somebody's pushing it, if they're clung to you like glue, like right off the bat, and I don't know, if they're not only needy but clingy, like it's that suffocating, like I need my space, if somebody's invading your space to that extent right off the bat, that's a red flag. That's not them being all sweet and lovey-dovey. That's somebody who's trying to control the situation, to control you, and